Welcome, my dear listener, to English Lane, a peaceful corner of the internet where English listening practice becomes more than just learning. Here, stories become lessons, voices become comfort, and words become a bridge between your heart and your goals. Today, you are about to listen to the remarkable life story of a man who rose from a tiny two-room apartment in India to the highest levels of the global technology world. His journey is not loud or dramatic. It is quiet, humble, steady, and deeply inspiring. His name is Sundar Pichai. As you listen, you will not only improve your English in a calm, natural, immersive way, but you will also understand how a boy raised with simplicity and limited resources became the CEO of Google and Alphabet, two of the most influential companies in modern history. So sit comfortably, take a slow, deep breath, relax your mind, and allow this story to guide you through a journey of hope, determination, and gentle greatness. Sundar Pichai was born on July 12, 1972, in Chennai, a vibrant city in southern India known for its culture, warmth, and resilience. He was born into a modest middle-class family, not rich, not privileged, but deeply grounded in values. His father, Raghunatha Pichai, was an electrical engineer who worked hard to provide for the family. His mother, Lakshmi, was a stenographer before she became a full-time homemaker. Their life was simple, and they lived without many of the conveniences that are now considered basic. For many years, the family didn't own a refrigerator or a telephone. Their home was small, just 2 rooms, where both children studied, slept, dreamed, and grew. But that home was filled with honesty, discipline, love, and the belief that education was the greatest gift a parent could offer. From early childhood, Sundar showed signs of a deep, natural curiosity. He was not the loud or mischievous type. Instead, he was calm, observant, and thoughtful. While other children played outside, Sundar often sat beside his father, listening to stories about machines, circuits, and engineering projects. His father never pushed him toward any career, but his stories planted seeds of fascination. Sundar became interested in understanding how things worked, how electricity flowed, why machines responded a certain way, why something failed, and how it could be fixed. This wasn't forced learning. It was natural curiosity, the kind that grows quietly and steadily. One of the most unforgettable moments in Sundar's childhood came when the family finally purchased their first telephone. A heavy black rotary phone with a circular dial. It felt like a luxury, a small miracle in their simple home. But something unusual happened. Sundar discovered that he could remember every telephone number that anyone dialed. Not 5 numbers, not 10, but dozens. He remembered effortlessly, without trying. His family was surprised. His friends were amazed. This quiet ability revealed something special about his mind, a gift for absorbing patterns, sequences, and information without pressure or effort. Nobody knew it then, but this simple memory skill would later align perfectly with his career in technology. Growing up in the 1970s and 80s in India wasn't easy. Power cuts were common, water shortages were normal, and money had to be spent carefully. Every purchase required thought, every book was treasured, every opportunity was valued. But these challenges didn't make Sundar's life miserable. Instead, they shaped him into someone strong, patient, and disciplined. These hardships taught him not to complain about what he didn't have, but to make the most of what he did have. This mindset became one of the greatest strengths of his life. The ability to remain calm and stable even in stressful situations. In school, Sundar stood out not because he tried to impress anyone, but because he understood deeply. His teachers admired him for his clarity, his quiet confidence, and his gentle behavior. He was never arrogant about his intelligence. He never competed to be noticed. He learned because learning made him happy. He understood because understanding made him feel alive. He excelled without noise, without ego, without pressure. That kind of intelligence is rare, the kind that comes from curiosity rather than competition. Even in those early years, something about Sundar made him different. He carried himself with a quiet maturity. He didn't rush. He didn't panic. He didn't compare himself with others. He believed in steady progress. And this belief would later take him from his small home in Chennai to some of the most prestigious institutions in the world. But before that, a bigger challenge awaited him. The next chapter of his life that would test his ability, his patience, and his determination. The journey to IIT. Part B. IIT Journey. Family sacrifice and the move to Stanford. As Sundar grew older, his hunger for understanding the world deepened. He moved into high school with the same calm focus that defined his childhood, but now his curiosity matured into ambition. Teachers began noticing that he often grasped complex scientific concepts faster than most students. He had an unusual ability to see the bigger picture behind small details. While many students studied merely to score high marks or satisfy expectations, Sundar studied because he genuinely loved the process of discovering how things worked. His gentle nature, sharp mind, and disciplined habits quietly guided him toward one of the most coveted dreams for Indian students. IIT, the Indian Institute of Technology. Getting into an IIT is one of the hardest academic challenges in India. Every year, hundreds of thousands of students compete for a limited number of seats, and only the highest scorers succeed. The exam requires more than intelligence. It demands patience, stability, and resilience. Sundar prepared without noise or desperation. He wasn't someone who bragged about exam pressure or compared marks with others. He simply stayed consistent, studied calmly, built concepts slowly, and trusted the values his parents had given him. Stay focused, work quietly, and never panic. When the results finally arrived, Sundar had achieved something extraordinary. He earned a place at IIT Kharagpur, one of the most prestigious engineering institutes in the world. This was a moment of joy and pride for his family. His father, who had always nurtured Sundar's curiosity, felt a deep sense of fulfillment. His mother felt emotional knowing that her son was stepping into a world far larger than their modest home. For Sundar, it was a dream unfolding. Proof that a simple background does not limit a determined heart. Entering IIT Kharagpur was like stepping into another universe. The campus was huge, filled with some of the brightest minds of the country. Students came from every part of India, carrying different languages, cultures, and dreams. The competition was intense, the classes were challenging, and the expectations were high. But Sundar adapted quietly. He was never loud, never arrogant, never trying to prove anything. He observed, learned, and grew at his own steady pace. His professors quickly recognized his potential. They admired not just his intelligence, but his humility. He was the kind of student who asked thoughtful questions, collaborated well, and never hesitated to help others. He never portrayed himself as superior, even though his clarity of understanding often surpassed many. During his time at IIT, Sundar realized that he was particularly fascinated by the intersection of materials, design, and technology. He began exploring subjects deeper than the curriculum required. Computer science was evolving rapidly, and Sundar felt a spark each time he interacted with emerging tech. It wasn't long before his professors encouraged him to apply for higher studies abroad, specifically in the United States, the global center of technology and innovation. One of his professors even wrote a heartfelt recommendation letter, stating that Sundar had the potential to become a world-class innovator. Sundar applied to Stanford University, one of the world's most elite institutions. The acceptance letter arrived like a blessing, but it also arrived with a challenge. Studying in the United States was expensive. The tuition, travel, accommodation, everything cost far more than his family could afford. For a middle-class family living in a 2-room apartment, this was overwhelming. But Sundar's father believed in him with his whole heart. Without hesitation, he took out almost all of the family's savings and even borrowed money so Sundar could follow his dream. His mother supported the decision with silent strength, hiding her worries behind a gentle smile so her son wouldn't feel guilty or afraid. Their sacrifice became the emotional foundation of Sundar's next chapter. When Sundar boarded his first flight to America, he wasn't just traveling to another country. He was stepping into a world he had never seen before. He carried a small suitcase, a heart full of hope, and the weight of his parents' sacrifices. Arriving at Stanford was both exciting and intimidating. Everything felt different: the culture, the pace, the opportunities, the expectations. The classrooms were filled with brilliant students from all over the world. People discussed ideas freely, asked bold questions, and treated education as exploration rather than obligation. It was a new environment, and Sundar embraced it with humility and gratitude. Life in the United States was not easy at first. Sundar lived very modestly, carefully managing every dollar, often cooking simple meals and avoiding unnecessary expenses. He didn't own a laptop in the beginning because it was too expensive. He used shared computer labs late into the night, quietly working on assignments, experiments, and research projects. He sometimes felt lonely, missing the warmth and familiarity of his home. Yet through every challenge, he stayed focused. He remembered his parents' sacrifices, their hopes, their faith in him. That memory kept him moving forward. At Stanford, Sundar explored the world of materials engineering, semiconductors, and the future of computing. He began noticing how small improvements in technology could change the lives of millions. Slowly, his vision expanded. He realized that technology wasn't just about machines. It was about people, access, and progress. This understanding would later shape his philosophy as a leader. Stanford didn't just give him knowledge, it gave him perspective. It showed him that innovation grows when people think boldly, collaborate openly, and solve problems with empathy rather than ego. Sundar absorbed these lessons deeply, silently shaping himself for a destiny he did not yet know awaited him. Part C: Google Journey, Chrome Creation and Rise of a Leader. After completing his studies at Stanford and gaining valuable experience at Applied Materials and McKinsey & Company, Sundar Pichai found himself standing at the doorway of an opportunity that would define his future. In 2004, Sundar joined Google, not as a superstar, not as a famous engineer, but as a quiet thinker who wanted to build useful things. At that time, Google was not the giant it is today, but it was already a rising star in the world of technology, attracting some of the brightest minds on the planet. Sundar entered this world with humility, curiosity, and the same willingness to learn that had carried him through his entire life. On his first days at Google, Sundar felt something unique, a sense of openness, creativity, and endless possibilities. People walked around discussing ideas freely. Engineers shared concepts that could transform the internet. The atmosphere was filled with innovation, but also with chaos. The beautiful chaos that comes when brilliant minds collide. Sundar did not rush to make an impression. He observed carefully, listened deeply, and studied how the company worked. His calm presence stood out in a place filled with fast talkers and bold personalities. Instead of trying to shine, Sundar focused on understanding problems, the kind of problems that affected millions of users every day. His first major assignment at Google was the Google Toolbar. The toolbar was a simple tool that allowed users to search directly from their web browser without visiting google.com. It might seem small, but it was incredibly important at the time. Hundreds of millions of people relied on browsers like Internet Explorer and Firefox. Google's success depended heavily on those browsers. If a competitor controlled the browser, they could control the user experience. This realization struck Sundar deeply. He understood something few people had noticed. Google needed its own browser, a browser designed for speed, simplicity, and modern technology. A browser built not for engineers, but for everyday users. A browser that truly expressed Google's vision. But when Sundar shared the idea of creating a Google browser, he faced resistance. Many experts believed the browser market was already dominated by Internet Explorer. They argued that creating another browser was unnecessary, expensive, and risky. Even inside Google, some leaders were skeptical. Why enter a crowded market? Why take such a big chance when Google was already succeeding? But Sundar saw what others did not. The browser was becoming the center of the internet. Everything was moving online, and controlling the browser meant shaping the future. Despite the doubts, Sundar did not give up. His leadership style during this time revealed who he truly was: calm, thoughtful, patient, and quietly determined. He gathered a small team of engineers who shared his belief in a faster, cleaner, simpler browser. There were no loud speeches, no dramatic promises. Instead, Sundar guided the team with steady optimism. He listened to their concerns, encouraged creative freedom, and created an environment where people felt safe to experiment. He believed deeply that the best ideas came from collaboration, not pressure. The journey of building Chrome was not easy. The team failed many times. They struggled with performance issues, design challenges, and doubts from those who thought the project had no future. But each time they faced a problem, Sundar approached it with calm logic. Instead of blaming or rushing, he asked simple, powerful questions. Why is this happening? What can we change? How can we improve this? His ability to stay composed during high-pressure moments inspired his team. They trusted him. They respected him. they followed him. In 2008, after years of quiet effort, Google Chrome was finally released. No one expected what happened next. Chrome wasn't just another browser, it was a revolution. It was fast, faster than anything people had experienced before. It was clean, with a simple design that removed unnecessary clutter. It was reliable, stable, and built for a future where apps, videos, tools, and websites would all run inside the browser. Users instantly fell in love. Within a few years, Chrome became the world's most widely used browser, surpassing Internet Explorer and Firefox. This success changed the trajectory of Google. It also changed the trajectory of Sundar Pichai's life. After Chrome's success, Sundar's reputation inside Google skyrocketed. He was no longer just an engineer, he was a visionary. People admired him because he had accomplished something extraordinary without ego, without noise, and without creating enemies. His leadership was gentle but powerful. He gave credit to his team instead of taking it for himself. He treated junior employees with the same respect he gave senior executives. He created harmony in a world that often rewarded aggression. Under his guidance, Chrome grew stronger, and soon Google entrusted him with even bigger responsibilities. Sundar was given oversight of Gmail, Google Drive, Google Maps, and eventually Android, the operating system used by billions of people worldwide. Each time he took on a new project, he applied the same philosophy. Keep things simple, listen to people, build with purpose, and stay humble. His influence slowly extended across the company. When Sundar spoke, people listened because his words came from clarity, not pride. His decisions were grounded in understanding, not impulse. His leadership created a ripple effect. Teams worked more harmoniously, ideas flowed more freely, and Google's products continued to grow. By this time, the founders of Google, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, had seen enough to know that Sundar possessed not just intelligence, but something far more valuable: character. They trusted him with responsibilities that shaped Google's global future. And with each challenge, Sundar rose higher, proving again and again that leadership is not about volume, but about vision. Not about power, but about patience. Part D: CEO Journey, Leadership, Family, and the True Meaning of Success. Sundar Pichai's rise within Google was not built on dramatic speeches, aggressive strategies, or loud confidence. It was built on years of quiet work, thoughtful decisions, and the trust he earned from everyone around him. As he successfully led Chrome, then Google Apps, then Android, and eventually almost every major Google product, Sundar became the backbone of the company's innovation. Google's founders, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, saw something rare in him: a leader who understood technology deeply, yet carried humility like a second nature. Someone who did not chase power, but attracted it through sincerity. Someone who listened more than he spoke and lifted others instead of lifting himself. In 2015, all of this culminated in a decision that changed his life forever. Larry Page announced that Sundar Pichai would become the new Chief Executive Officer of Google. The world was shocked, but the people who worked with Sundar knew this moment was inevitable. He had already been guiding the company quietly from behind the scenes. Becoming CEO was not a victory for his ego. It was a responsibility he accepted with grace. On the day he took the role, Sundar did not celebrate extravagantly. He did not make bold promises. Instead, he thanked his team, acknowledged the journey, and reminded everyone that leadership is not about titles, but about serving people. Under his guidance, Google continued to grow, expanding artificial intelligence, improving global search, strengthening Android, and making technology more accessible to billions of people across the world. But Sundar's journey did not stop there. In 2019, another major transformation happened. Google's parent company, Alphabet Inc., needed a strong, thoughtful, and stable leader. Someone who could oversee multiple companies working on futuristic ideas like AI, health science, autonomous vehicles, robotics, and clean energy. Larry Page and Sergey Brin stepped down from day-to-day leadership and chose Sundar Pichai as the CEO of Alphabet. This was a monumental moment, not only for Sundar, but for millions of people who looked up to him. A boy who once lived in a small home without even a refrigerator was now leading one of the most powerful technology empires in the world. Despite such tremendous responsibility, Sundar remained unchanged at his core. He did not adopt arrogance. He did not distance himself from others, and he did not lose the gentle humility he grew up with. He continued to walk through Google's offices with the same calm expression, the same soft voice, the same respectful manner. People admired him not because he was the CEO, but because he was approachable, compassionate, and deeply human. His leadership style became a global example, proving that kindness can lead companies, humility can command respect, and gentleness can shape the future. Behind his professional success, Sundar's personal life remained grounded and meaningful. He married Anjali, the girl he met at IIT Kharagpur, someone who had believed in him long before the world even knew his name. Their relationship, built on friendship and understanding, became a source of emotional strength throughout his journey. They raised 2 children together, teaching them the same values that shaped Sundar's own childhood: simplicity, gratitude, hard work, and respect for others. Even with a demanding career, Sundar always made time for his family. He often spoke publicly about how much his parents sacrificed for him, how much Anjali supported him, and how important it is to stay connected to one's roots no matter how far life takes you. Sundar's leadership philosophy is simple yet powerful. Listen carefully, empower others, solve problems thoughtfully, and always remain curious. He believes that technology should make life easier, not more complicated. He believes that a leader's job is not to dominate, but to guide. His calm presence inspires confidence in others. He never tries to be the smartest person in the room. Instead, he creates a space where everyone feels comfortable sharing ideas. His humility is not a strategy. It is who he truly is. And that authenticity is what makes him one of the most respected leaders of our time. But beyond all the titles, achievements, and global influence, the most inspiring part of Sundar Pichai's story is the message it carries. His life reminds us that where you start does not determine how far you can go. You can grow up in a small home and still dream big. You can face financial limitations and still rise beyond them. You can come from a quiet childhood and still lead the world with strength and grace. Success is not about noise, wealth, or privilege. It is about patience, curiosity, effort, and the willingness to keep moving forward even when the path is uncertain. If Sundar had allowed his struggles to discourage him, he would have remained just another talented boy in Chennai. But he didn't. He embraced challenges, respected every opportunity, and held on to the belief that learning could change his life. And it did. As you reach the end of this story, take a deep breath and reflect on your own journey. You may not be a CEO, but you have your own path, your own dreams, your own challenges. Like Sundar, you might come from a simple background. Like Sundar, you might feel unsure at times. But remember this: greatness grows in silence. Dreams grow slowly. Progress happens quietly. And one day, everything you worked for, every small effort, every moment of patience, every struggle you survived, will come together and reveal the future you were meant for. Sundar Pichai's life is a reminder that you don't have to be loud to be great. You don't have to be born rich to make a difference. You don't have to chase power to become powerful. What you need is humility, curiosity, patience, and the courage to keep going, even when no one is watching. The world will recognize you when the time is right. And that, dear listener, is the inspiring journey of a quiet boy from Chennai who rose to lead the modern world of technology. Not through force, but through kindness. Not through noise, but through wisdom. Not through privilege, but through character.